Thank you very much, Don. So the next speaker is Olivier Calef for CERT-FR. So Olivier is the liaison officer of CERT-FR, the French government CERT. He joined 1.5 years ago, but has been a manager of a private CERT for 6 years before that, and in the security field for almost 20 years. Apart from being a Transit 1 trainer, so Olivier also trained the transit session here this week. He is dealing with information sharing with partners such as French CERT, as well as foreign CERT. So Olivier's presentation will be on information sharing for cyber defense actors. Olivier, the chair is yours.
Thank you, Jean-Robert. And I'd like to bounce on what Don just said. He's been insisting quite a few times on the word sharing and cooperation. And that's the point of my presentation too. And I think both of you, all of you that attended this conference and the training sessions on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and even we spoke here yesterday, I think you must all be convinced by now that sharing is the utmost important communication. So I'll talk about two different things. The first one is, where are we starting from regarding sharing? But first of all, who is supposed to be sharing? That's you and me. That's you as trusted partners. We've been meeting together. We know each other, so it's an additional level of trust we may have. We'll talk about technical issues a little bit later. But I may also have an opportunity to talk with you as representatives. I'm working in a GovCert. Some of you are working in GovCert, or are willing to set up GovCerts. You are also representing your country. You are also the entry point of your country regarding security incidents. So how is it today? Well, today it's a lot of many things. It's a huge amount of data that you may be willing to share, because you've got a lot of things, a lot of incidents, a lot of events. You have a lot of things you may be willing to share. The problem is that there's a huge variety of types of data, and there's no formal way to, there's no given model for that. There's many different formats of data. There's no common language, no standard language to define what a security threat is. And if there's no common language, this may leave the door open to interpretation. And we are not in a world where we have to interpret facts. We have to get facts, we have to share facts, and that would be able to help one another. And the final thing is that there's no really an easy way to share in an automatic manner, unfortunately. So a lot of little issues. When we try to do so, however, we send emails, structured emails. I don't know if some of you write proper emails with a nice structure. I don't often. It's most of the time unstructured information. Sometimes it's just an email saying, here is the file, here is the document with all the information regarding the incident. Okay, that's a document, that's file, that's a PDF, that's Word, that's Excel spreadsheet, that's file text. Nothing really formalized. Some CERTs have been setting some web forms on their web servers representing their organization, which is a way to try to format the input they'll get. So they can use post-processors, but if the sender could use some pre-processors to try to format the information so that the receiver would have an easier task, this would be much better. And last but not least, acknowledgements. Sometimes you send information, you send a notification, and there's no acknowledgement at all. But we are human beings, and when you speak out to someone and you don't get any answer, well, what do? You always expect to get a human response. So that's one thing which hasn't been formalized yet, and this is food for thought too. However, you've got some positive items. The first one is we've got some sharing rules. Don has been talking about TFC cert first and other organizations. We have something which is called the traffic light protocol. It's a protocol which is used regarding the way we should share. Should we share just between two different persons and not tell to any others, or is it just open information? So we've got four colors code, red, amber, green, and white. I'm telling so the colors because some of you may be colorblind, as I am, so just explaining the colors. And apart from that, we also have some tools to ensure confidentiality, and that's PGP. PGP is a way for us to enhance trust. At the end of the third day of or the second day of the training session, when Don arrived, we've been doing a nice key signing party, sharing keys, enhancing trust. That's a very important issue. It helps us enforce confidentiality when we share information about incidents, because sharing incident information may, if it goes to the wrong eyes or the wrong ears, it may be reused by other bad guys. So first, confidentiality, and the other issue and the other positive item regarding PGP, that it can also help you authenticate what you send. If you sign your information or the incident-related information you send to another partner, this is a way for you, if you sign it, to provide the proof that you are the right entity sending information. So you also, once again, provide a little bit more trust. And also the points of contacts. You may have regional organization that may be an entry point in your region, in your country, in your continent. But you may also have some more technical items, such as the RFC 2350 I've been mentioning during the training session, which is a kind of ID of your organization. So you say what you do, who you are, and it's also good for the others, those who may have an interest into sharing with you. They may know exactly what you do, who you are, what you are interested in. So telling who you are is also a way to get more appropriate information sent by others. Now let's open to another point of view, which is what can we use and what are the tools? Tools are just tools, but however, it helps, and it may help us formalize everything. So we may have some classification models of information. I'll mention one or two of them. We may have some formats regarding the indicators, the information, the events. Some threat formats regarding the various type of threat, how we can try to put them into a model, and the way we can share information. So I'll very briefly go through some of them. You're going to have the slides, so it's just an introduction. But the first one I wanted to mention was STIX, which has been, I would say, designed something like 3 years ago, and which is becoming to pop up. It's a framework, a data model, which is used to standardize the way we can represent cyber threat intelligence, instead of just sending information without any structure. So it's an enabling structure with semantics, with interpretation, but always the same type of interpretation, so no misinterpretation, and of course some level of analysis. The issue we are trying to solve is like trying to answer to quite a few questions. We are seeing a few activities, bad activities. What is it? What are the threats you are looking for? What are the threats that you see? Have they already been seen somewhere? Important point. If others have seen the same threats, if they issue you a warning, you'll be prepared to receive an attack, for example. Regarding the details, what does it do in terms of attacks? What are the weaknesses that are exploited? How can I protect, once again, myself? Who is responsible for doing the attacks? And what can I do about it? So, regarding the way we can address that with STIX, we define quite a few items. The incidents, so that's the description of the threat. Indicators, observables, some campaigns, which mean the attacks which are launched. The way we can mitigate these attacks, which is named in that model the course of action, the targets, the actors, the threat actors, and another acronym which is well known nowadays, which is TTP, tactics, techniques, and procedures. I mean the way the attackers are operating in order to launch the attack. So if I put everything in a global picture, that's, I would say, the STIX model, you can take that model from wherever you want. I've been adding the little questions I've been mentioning prior to this slide. So you can find the incidents, you can find the threat actors, the relationship with the campaigns, the tool that I use with the TTPs, and that's a nice model, and thanks to that model, we should be able to improve the way we can share information. So that's one example. I've been writing the URL of the STIX model on the mitre.org website. In a few words, what is it? It's, in the end, an embedded data marking model, which is reusing existing models such as the TLP. So that's good. We are not putting everything we've been using prior to that to the trash. We are reusing existing well-working components. But there are some issues. For example, you cannot send an update to your knowledge. You have to send the full package again. Anyway, that's maybe bad, but at least we can share information. So STIX represents in the end the existing knowledge of the sender at one point in time. Complementary to that, we've got TAXI. We've been defining the model of the data. We are now talking about the sharing protocol. So like a yellow and black cab, it's a way to transport information from one partner to the other. And it can be done automatically. It can be done between human beings, it can be done between applications, between incident handling components. It's independent from the components. And if I draw the global picture, you've got TAXI as a transport layer, and you've got STIX references, models in each organization that may be connected or that may send information or get information from STIX. You may have human beings, you may have IDS, you may have intrusion detection at the system level, you may have people working on vulnerabilities, you may have people working on all types of incidents. So that's the global picture, which looks quite nice, which is being developed. Another point of view is to be very pragmatic. And if those of you remember in 2001 when Mandiant, a US company, issued the APT1 report, which was quite famous, at the same time they delivered various indicators. And they used a type of format, which was the open IOC. So that format is very useful. It helps us define and put in boxes all types of security-related information. So that's good. But it's purely technical. It's technical information. And when you work on incidents, having technical information is one thing, but knowing the context is also very important. So it only does part of the job. There are other solutions, such as MISP, which is basically the acronym stands for Malware Information Sharing Platform. It has been designed by the Belgium GovCert and the NATO in the NATO CERT. It's a kind of repository at first. It was a kind of repository for various types of malware, and it has been extended to handle events. Events can be malicious code, but it can be any type of something happening, an incident. An example of taken from this circle, which is a search in Luxembourg, where they show how you can input information into a MISP platform and how you can output information from a MISP platform, both to human beings and to application or incident handling tools. Another one is the CIF, the Collective Intelligence Framework, which is aimed at centralizing information related. Here, the idea is to collect information, collect events, collect all types of news, even though this may not be of interest at first, but globally, when you try to correlate everything, it's very interesting. And it's a way for you to go a little bit forward. So technically speaking, I can resume that saying that it's a big SQL repository where you pour in all types of format, and you've got preprocessors and post-processors that would be that are able to put all the data into that collector, and then you can launch some requests. So this is the global picture with public or private feeds, with mitigation equipments such as firewall ideas that can pour information within the CIF solver. So you get a global picture with correlation. Last one, which is quite new and which looks quite promising because it's a kind of framework which is willing to aggregate and capitalize on what is already existing regarding STIX and TAXI, regarding Cybox and MISP. It's named CRISTS, Collaborative Research into Threats. So that's one of the interesting developments and that you should have a look at, especially if you are willing to set up a new incident handling and threat sharing environment. As a conclusion for this first part, I would say that sharing is based on trust between actors. Once again, sharing trust. The tools I've been mentioning are just an idea, it's just a support to all the information sharing you have to do and you must do. And there are quite a few trends which have been emerging recently, and the only idea behind most of them is to increase the automation level between all the stakeholders regarding the incident information sharing process. So that's a way for you also, if you are developing your CERT or if you are creating one, to start with the right tools or the right ideas in mind, define properly what you want to do, how to do it. And also it's an opportunity for me to say that liaising with existing organizations is very important. You've got Africa CERT, you've got TFC CERT, you've got FIRST. It's also a great place to share information and to meet in person and also to extend your trust network, your web of trust. So that was one point I wanted to mention at first regarding the information sharing. If I've got 10 minutes, 5? Okay. And the second point I wanted to mention, because once again I want to go over what Don has been talking. He's been talking about cyber resilience, saying that resilience was a kind of a buzzword. Well, it's true, it's a kind of a buzzword. However, there's something that's the reality behind that. And it's good to be sharing information, incidents or threats with others. But look at your own home. How is it secured? Is it reliable? And that's one of the issues we've been trying to address in France. And we created 3 or 4 years ago what's named the French Internet Resilience Observatory. So I think we used the word resilience before it was a buzzword. Good. So the context was we thought that we had the feeling that the Internet was misunderstood. Well, Internet is one big thing you can share and blah, blah, blah. Network incidents, and when we work on incidents and security incidents, and that's our daily job, it's not localized in France. Of course, the Internet is wide open, so we have to share, and we have also to understand what are the best practices in terms of Internet usage. So some of the objectives of the creation of that observatory was to try to assess what were the risks regarding the French part of the Internet. The questions may be, what is a French Internet? Some of you speaking French may know that we've got an exception culturelle in France. So we speak French, and there's a lot of people around the world speaking French. We've got a French culture and the rest, but others also have to. So the real question is, what makes a French Internet? Before answering this question, let's define what we call Internet resilience. Resilience is the ability to respond to a major crisis and to quickly restore normal service. That's what's written in one of our white book that was published in 2008 in France. So the aim of this observatory was to study that resilience from a technical point of view. We had 2 options. The first one was to work on services, get a user point of view, such as HTTP, mail, and the rest. The other way to go was to take a look at the internet structure, like routing, naming services, and that kind of routing protocol. We decided to focus on this second possibility, so looking at the internet structure through BGP and DNS. So how to observe that? We chose some indicators for DNS and for BGP, and for each and every indicator we have a description, a methodology to make the measurements, the limitations, and of course a little analysis that you can find in the reports. So now let's try to answer to the question, what is the French internet? So we had an existing database of AS, autonomous systems, that were covered in France, and we had a database of 40,000. It turned out that after making some analysis, we downgrade that number to only something like 1,400 that were related really to France and not shared. And adding and comparing with other databases, we were able to go to almost 1,500. So that's the number of ASs. So the questions that we wanted to answer were, are French ASs, autonomous systems, well connected to one another? And that's a question you should ask also for your country. Are there any single point of failure? And if one breaks, everything breaks down, falls down? So the same question for almost any country. And another tricky question is, how many ASs are so important that if they fail, we no longer have the internet, or at least have a very big impact on the internet in France. So trying to assess what is the level of risks. We also had other issues, such as issues related to BGP, related to the way we can assess whether or not a BGP announcement is correct or not. So it may be a valid announcement, okay? It may be connected, it means that you've got a link with someone else, and it may be an abnormal, which is neither the first case nor the second one. In that case, if it's abnormal, well, you have to have a look at it and try to understand whether it's a human error, an issue, a security incident, or whatever. And we did also some analysis regarding the implementation of DNSSEC and IPv6 to see how it was rated and what was the penetration of all that. So you can get all the information regarding that Internet Resilience Observatory in various reports that we publish every year. And some are in French, some are in English. And out of the second report, we've been designing some recommendations and best practices regarding the way countries should be handling the BGP, because BGP is key for the internet. I think if you have been attending this conference and you'll stay here a few more days, you'll be convinced that BGP is key, and that I would say they may not be all the necessary security measures that have been implemented at first in BGP. So BGP plus DNSSEC plus other components may be useful, but roughly speaking, I would say that BGP and the Internet resilience are closely related. So food for thought. Try to see what is the impact of that BGP and what is the impact and what is the resilience level of your Internet in your country, then maybe in your region, and I think that's a good step to go forward. So thank you for your attention, and I'll leave the floor to Jean-Robert.
Thank you, Olivier.